Yo, yo, yo. What's up, dialoguers? It's your boy MineDialogue back on the scene. A little bit serene, but always relatively keen to all the charting schemes. So, I want to give y'all a quick update, real quick, regarding just the follow up of the pre market analysis we conducted and what actually happened and the trade that I took today. So, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, hit up the WhatsApp if your heart leads you to do so. I'm sorry, not WhatsApp, y'all. The Cash App. Cash App is money sign MineDialogue. Email is minddialogue.business@gmail.com. All right, we're gonna jump right into this. Not a ton of time, so I want to get through this relatively quickly. So, as we saw last night, I kind of laid out some key levels and talked about some previous price action and what I was expecting to happen. And so at the time, right? At the time that we were talking, which was like 3 in the morning, price action. So currently we're on the 5 minute right now. 3 in the morning, we're probably around, price action was currently right around here. Okay. Let me see if I could make this a little bit darker. So price action was right around here. And so there were a couple scenarios that I was expecting, right? I was expecting for us to, so we had the two level here, right, at 629.48, which is also the measurement start. That was a really key two level because we did two opposing measurements and it led us to this two level. In addition to that, the 50% was also very key because we did two opposing measurements, and the 50 and the 38% that we measured on like different ranges also showed up in the same place. So very key levels. And so in the morning when I got up, I was like, you know what, let me look for a trade. We actually opened pre-market at 4 a.m. and we actually were dumping harder than I anticipated. I thought they were going to try to get some reprieve, and once we hit this discount level here, or even this level 2, they would have manipulated kind of below it or close below the level 2 and then pop back up to then get some higher levels. But they did not want to do that because the sell-off was really heavy. And so you can see here where on the 5 minute we got a manipulation, right? So again, we know it's a key level because they we decided it was based on the analysis and the measurements we did, but they also told us it was a key level as well because look what happened on the 5 minute. They manipulated above that level and then pushed down even harder. What does it mean that to say that they manipulated? They closed above the level two different times, right? In this scenario, they didn't sweep that. Well, technically they did. So they first closed at 2:40 p.m. on Thursday, then they swept the highs and then came down lower, right? And then, but in the morning when I woke up, I was able to identify this channel. I went down on a lower time frame, and this was that same head and shoulder pattern that we saw from last night, right? It was the same one where you had the left shoulder higher, right? Which means that the right shoulder was going to come up into a portion of the head, which that portion is basically in that 50 and 38% area. And then, they kept selling off. So what's interesting is, so look how they're respecting inside of this channel, right? They hopped into this channel in pre-market on Thursday. We manipulated out of it around 11 a.m., right? And then it was basically respecting it ever since. We came down here to these to this number 1 hour discount level, and the 2 level, which is also the measurement start of what we did last night, was coming up after that. The current price at the time that I have here in red, when we looked at at 3:14 a.m., I have it marked there, was at 629.28. I did think that we were gonna pop back up, gap back up, and then sell off again, but they just kept dumping. As you can see, when we opened for pre-market, look at this candle here, where a small amount of volume and a small portion of the body is basically at the lower end. They basically wherever they open, they started selling off right away, right? So they open and then immediately sold off very quickly. Close here. As we come down into this channel or falling wedge, right? I was also able to identify a consolidation area in pre-market leading up to market open. So I tagged this red line with the text here, key liquidity area 626.17, and it just held up beautifully, right? Because they were teetering around this level basically. They were hopping above and below. We manipulated very clearly a couple different times, right? You got your manipulation. So let's see how many times they manipulated, right? They manipulated here. But mind you, so they manipulated below the level, but they were still within the consolidation space that I created in pink or red, depending on how it looks on your end. And then we manipulated below the area here and below the level, below the area here and below the level again, right? They tagged the 2 level right here. So we had a 2 measurement start of 629.48 and level 2 up here, but then we also had I did a measurement where I measured from the bottom of the body of this opening pre-market candle up to its high, and I looked at the levels that retraced down bottom and was able to find the 2 level from opening candle. You see I put it here in text. So 2 level from opening candle retrace measure, which is 624.92. Look what happened. We respected it beautifully, popped back up inside of the consolidation, came and manipulated below the area and the level again, popped up above the consolidation, manipulated outside of it, and then we began the descent. So I was able to tag a trend line on the bottom here. I was able to tag this black trend line on the bottom. So essentially what I try to do in these types of setups is essentially create like a trap for price action, because I want to see where you're going to squeeze out at, essentially. So let me just make this thick here. So I got this bottom trend line with reference point 1 here, which is a manipulation outside of the red consolidation or pink consolidation area, and below that key liquidity area of 626.17, but we got support off of the opening candle 2 level from the pre-market candle open here, a retrace measurement. They got support off of that. So it's different traps and levels to help prop up and support price action so we can really see what's going on, right? So and then I was able to find this trend line up top, which also showed the very obvious manipulation again, right? Not only did it manipulate it did a couple manipulations. You got right here, it manipulated 2 different times, right here above the trend line, and then again above the trend line, and convincingly above the trend line and above the consolidation area right there, right? So this is like a head and shoulders right here in itself, this little area. Let's see if we can draw it out real quick. I didn't really mess with it or try to pay too much attention to it, but I do kind of notice it. So let's say we're gonna do this, 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 and this kind of here. Boom, and then we get the dump down, right? So for this, the head portion would, it's you know, it could either be this I would say it could be a couple different things, but notably what kind of stands out to me is like here. This is a head that stands out, and the bottom down here. But the key piece is, my bad, y'all. One thing I could definitely count on is my kiddos interrupting me. So I would say, you know, this is a little janky in here. Let me try to draw a little bit cleaner because it's just, I'm going to try to use a basic drawing of it. So I would say this is the real drawing of it right here. It really looks like it. It looks like, let's see, boom, 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 like this, like a M-type pattern. The head would be down here, shoulders up here. But what you can see is this piece right here, to be honest, this is the manipulation, right? So technically it's really like this. The real shoulder is like right here, and you can see that this left portion right here, like if we were to strike a horizontal line right there, let's see, the horizontal line, which serves as, let's make this, what color can we make this? Let's make this this baby blue, and make it thicker. So this blue line here would make this left shoulder piece a little higher than this right piece here, and you can see we come up into the head here and send it off. So let me just get this off here. Not the most clearest, but you know, I'm trying to create some type of illustration. To be honest, again, I'm doing this on the dome, so it may not be as on par, but you kind of get the drift or idea of what I'm trying to show you. The real reality is they manipulate up, but the real portion you want to pay attention to in terms of a shoulder is this like descending consolidation piece right here, and then you have this piece right here, which is higher than this piece, or if you use this, it's still higher than this piece. And so when the left shoulder is higher than the right, we come up into this head, this is the head portion right here. We come up into the head, are lower than the left shoulder, whichever piece you want to use, and we get sent down, right? So with this bottom trend line here, ascending trend line going up, you got 1, 2 reference points, and I created this trend line here with the top reference points of right here. We got, this is the first reference. Well, technically this, well, this is a gap down, so this wasn't necessarily count. Let's see. Yeah, this wouldn't be a swing high, but I technically used a body here to start, but the true reference point is like right here. And then the next reference point I would say is right here, right? So let me take off the extra stuff so you can see where we have the 1, 2 set up. So at the top you got 1, 2 for those reference points, and the bottom you got 1, 2. So it essentially creates, as price action is going down into this, let's see here, this is the bigger channel, so let's make this Let's make this a different color. We're gonna make this blue too, so you all can see where where that channel is that we're paying attention to. My computer's moving slow, y'all. I apologize if there's some delay. Hold on, what just happened? I thought I changed the color. All right. So you can see price action coming down in this channel. The trend lines up top and bottom essentially create like this falling wedge of the bigger channel, and then this rising wedge for us to drop down in this small area as we go into this corner right here. So let's see what happens. So look, you have the convergence of these two black trend lines right here, and look how we get this beautiful sell-off into this area, right? So again, initially what I was looking for, I'm gonna go on the 1 minute now so I can show you where I entered the trade and where I got out at, profit and all that stuff. So yesterday we were able to get a nice quick trade for like 26%. This morning when we did the trade and hopped in, we got about I believe it was like 40% if I'm not mistaken, and I'll tell you the numbers in a second. But nonetheless, so they were operating inside of this bigger blue line, parallel descending line channel, and then we popped out of it slightly. This is the manipulation, right? On the 1 minute, it's going to look like a lot of candles were out below it, but let me see how much time we got left so I can stay on par. 13 minutes. So on the 1 minute, you can kind of see the head and shoulders a little bit more clearly. So it's really like, let's see here. It's really gonna be like, let's see. There we go. Like that. And then we got this little piece right here, really like that. So it's a janky looking head and shoulder where you got your head portion right here. This actually helps make it clear. So you got your head portion here, and then you got a manipulation to make it seem like it's a higher right shoulder, but in reality, the true right shoulder is really like here, right? It's really like this consolidation area, and once it's essentially done, you can see that the end point is lower than this starting end point over here, and then you get the dump. But nonetheless, so what I was looking for initially is I was looking to potentially jump in a reversal because I thought they were going to manipulate by the entry model of what I like to see, which is closing below the level 2 of that retracement opening candle, right? Because typically they do their reversals at the level 2. So if we look at it on the 5 minute, I thought we were gonna, we closed below the 25 minute and then we swept it, right? So when we didn't sweep it, when we swept it and we didn't do like a hard reversal up, because that's what's supposed to happen if they're truly going to reverse, when we didn't see like an aggressive turnaround and start going back up, I was like, oh, this sell-off is really strong in terms of the trend, and so I need to change my bias and look for put, because sometimes what they like to do is they'll sell off a lot in pre-market and then catch people off guard. Typically you would want to be like, man, let me jump in on this sell-off trend, but they might be done with the sell-off trend and just looking for an area to manipulate at the end of the trend and reverse on you and leave you behind. So I was looking for that reversal because that's what they like to do a lot of times. That would have been the easiest things to throw traders off of and not the most obvious of continuing the rundown. But they went with the obvious, which you get lucky with sometimes. So once I saw that we closed below level 2 and I was looking for the entry model, we swept it, but we did not get a nice reversal or a strong turnaround like I like to see. I then started to look for I started to look for the play going down now, because I've seen this model set up before where we get below an important trend line, and we're looking like we're rejecting below the trend line, and there's a clear path to go down, right? So in the moment while I was in the trade, I didn't even really have these lines here, right? Some of these lines weren't even there, to be honest. It was just like a clear path to go down, and I had this. This was, I believe, another 2 level from some type of retracement measurement or a discount level that I had. And so once I saw we got below here, this is when I got ready to enter. So on the 1 minute, this trade only lasted 4 minutes, which is great, which aligns with how I want to, at this point where I'm trying to preserve capital and money, I like my trades to move as quick as possible once I get in. And so the trade took about 4 minutes. And so from 9:36 to 9:40. So once I saw we were breaking below this, we're going back inside of this bigger channel where these blue lines are. I hopped in the trade at 9:36. They slightly pushed back up, started rejecting, and then did an initial sell-off again. I hopped out here. So look at that. Look at this small capture of a move right here. And I was still able to get 40% off of that. So by the time I entered, right? By the time I entered, we got, by the time I entered at $93. My get out point, for me, if I'm not mistaken, my get out point was probably gonna be, I think, probably back above this this 2 level retracement measurement from that opening pre-market candle. So they started pushing back up, but they've closed multiple times below there inside of the channel again. So in my mind, I was like, okay, since we've closed below here convincingly a couple times, I think I was also looking at like the 3 minute. As you can see, 1, 2. Once we closed once below it on the 3 minute again, and then once I started, we didn't have enough energy or power to really push back up to go back above to go get anything. I entered at 9:36, and then we pushed back up and then started selling off again. I calculated the move from where we currently were to where I saw the destination being. I calculated the delta. I think the delta was like what was it? I think it might have been like 0.24 or 0.26. But basically on my calculation, it was like a $4 move, and it gave me no, when I initially calculated it was less than that. And basically it gave me like I think like a $31 move. And so I entered at $93 and put the sell at 132 based on my calculations. And once we started pushing down by this candle right here at 940, that was able to push me to the profit target in 4 minutes and give me 40% profit from 93 to 132, which is great. I really wanted to take it down here because I saw there's a clear path at the bottom of the channel, and this discount level or level 2 that I measured aligned perfectly with this area, and that's exactly where we ran to. So again, if I had the capital to risk, I would have gotten 2 contracts, sold the first one relatively quickly, right? Me and my friends call it, they came up with it, but I like the term, the 10-17 brick squad, which is basically taking, like $10 to $17 profit or whatever on a move. That's when you're like super scalping and stuff like that. But nonetheless, I took the move quick. If I'd have had one more contract, I would have let that contract run to this profit area and would have got out if it tried to get back above where I entered. And so once it fully came down here, the contracts had reached $250. So just a beautiful move. But I was very happy with catching what I caught, getting out the play being done, and being able to jump in my work meetings for the day. And you can see as we close below that key level here that I had, right? They closed below it, swept it, another entry model to reverse, and then we start the reversal. And look, they went to the top of the channel, right? This is just like clockwork for them. So you can really catch beautiful moves based on these setups. And then, and they reversed a little bit, came down into this key area. This was like a bear. I think this is actually a bearish volume imbalance. So this should be red, right? Because this red indicates it should send this back down, but they actually used it as support. They bounced off of it a couple times and got sent back higher up up to the 2 level of that retracement opening pre-market candle that I did the measurement from, right? So I was able to gain an entry below that level to go down, took a piece of the move. They bounced once we reached our destination to the top of the channel. You could have got a nice move there, took profit there, let them get whatever they needed out their system. We did a double bounce into this key bearish volume imbalance, this very small inefficient area right here, this red area. Let me see if I can get a little closer. And then they use that as support. And then that just catapulted them all the way back up to the 2 level again. They did a 1-2 tap into it. And we get a beautiful sell-off once again back down where, look, they came even lower down here, back below that 620 level again. Swept these lows right here. So if we were to put a line right there, they swept those lows and then reversed to go right back up. And now we're at 621 again, which looks like we're going up for a beautiful move back up, probably to possibly the 2 level again, but probably to a more lower level based on the measurement. So if we were to measure from this swing high up here at the 2 level down to the swing low, they're approaching the 50%. I think they can get as high as a 62% and then reject again. It looks like if we were to make a trend line or create some type of channel, it looks like we're losing. Look, you can see the bigger head and shoulder right here. Let me see how much time I got left. 2 minutes, perfect. So you can see here it goes again, the bigger head and shoulder. Look at this, boom, right? Like a W pattern. And so we'll probably come back up in the head right there. See that? We got the head portion right here. Make that a little bit darker. So we got that head portion, and then we have the left and right shoulder. Oops. Got that left shoulder, which is probably going to be higher than that right shoulder, and we'll get sent back down. So I appreciate it, folks. That's what's going on here. So just to kind of document some of the trading I've been doing, I had my 2 winning days last week. Then I went into 2 losing days, got kind of stalled out on the plays. And then these last couple days, I got to move in the fashion that I needed. And I'm ending the week out on 2 wins. So we're talking about, I got a total of 4 wins out of 6 total trades. So a 66, 67% conversion rate. I like that rate. That's right in line with what I like. So let's see how I can continue to keep that up. I'm keeping you privy to the real-time progress of what's going on and the trades that I'm taking, so you'll be able to kind of see my progress and my journey. And this is something special, so I hope you all can continue along this journey. I appreciate y'all so much. Don't forget to donate to the Cash App, money sign MineDialogue, or hit me up via email for a free private consultation at MineDialogue.business@gmail.com. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. I appreciate y'all as always. Have a great day on purpose.